What?
All right, hello everyone. I'm going to talk about the golden ratio. So, the golden ratio, it's essentially when two quantities, if the ratio of their sum is equivalent to the ratio of the sum to the larger of the quantities is equivalent to the ratio of the two quantities themselves. And this can be approximated by the number 1.618, which is represented by the Greek letter phi. So, essentially, this number is used in everywhere. It is in design, it's in nature, it's in engineering, it's in biology, architecture, art, and the golden ratio has been used for thousands of years by humans. It's been used by Plato, an influential Greek philosopher, Euclid, author of the Elements, Da Vinci, Kepler, an astronomer during the early scientific revolution, and so essentially what you need to know about the golden ratio is that there's this kingpin, this Al Capone, and that's Fibonacci. And what you have to do is you have to take two numbers in a series, 0 and 1. You have to sum the two preceding terms. So 0 and 1 makes 1. 1 and 1 makes 2. 1 and 2 makes 3, and so on, until you get 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, etc. And what's special about these numbers is that if you divide each consecutive term by its predecessor, you gradually approach 5, which is 1.61. 21 over 13 is 1.615, 34 over 21 is 1.619, until you get to 377 over 233, which is 1.618. So this goes on, and as you take larger and larger numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, you get closer and closer to the golden ratio. So the guy that invented Fibonacci, or discovered it really, his real name was Leonardo Pisano. It's named after him. I guess Fibonacci is his nickname, I don't know. He was born in Pisa in 1175. He did some other stuff with Arabic numerals, then he died. And then you have this spiral here, which is created out of the Fibonacci sequence. You've got this square here, which is 1, 1, side length of 2, side length of 3, 5, 8, 13, and so on. So as you can see, if you sum 5 and 8, you get 13. So it's directly related to Fibonacci. If you sum 3, 2, and 8, you get 13. So the side lengths all line up, and you can create this golden spiral. And as you can see, at any point when you have your rectangle, when you draw the spiral, it's in the golden ratio. A to A plus B, and then A to B. So it's been used in art, the Wave by Hokusai. It's been used in architecture. This Notre Dame, the Cathedral of Notre Dame here, it's in the golden ratio. You've got the different sections, the bell towers, and the entrance. They're all 1 to 1.618. This painting here by Seurat, the proportion of the head to the bodies of his people are 1 to 1.618. Mona Lisa, you can draw a golden spiral overlaying this painting. Da Vinci also used this in the Last Supper. And here you can see the apostles are all in the golden ratio, the width of the table, the height of the table, Jesus, obviously. And so again, back to Mona Lisa, you see this, her face, it's in the golden ratio. So look at this rectangle and think about, have you seen this before? Yes, the National Geographic logo is literally the golden rectangle. Other logos, Twitter, BP, Pepsi, Toyota, Chevron, all of them use the golden ratio. And this BP logo, something so simple as Fibonacci, it costs $22 million to create. So, the pyramids, the Nautilus shell, hurricanes, DNA. Interestingly, if you look at DNA, it has a radius of 10 angstroms, or 1 nanometer, and one period of DNA is 34 angstroms. So the diameter would be about 20, and 21 and 34, as you remember, are two numbers in the Fibonacci sequence. So the golden ratio and the golden spiral and this whole Fibonacci Illuminati take over the universe. It's everywhere. And you can see there are not just, 1.618 is not the only number. There's 377 over 233, that's the example I gave earlier. But there's also 34 over 89. So if you take 34 and divide it by two numbers to the right, you get 0.382. If you take 55 and divide it by 233, or three numbers to the right, it's 0.236. And so you can use this in something called Elliott wave theory, which is, it's basically this theory that people use for like economics and stocks, and it asserts that crowd behavior ebbs and flows based on clear trends. Because of this ebb and flow, Elliott identified this structure right here to the movements of financial markets. So there's two types of wave. There's an impulse wave and there's a corrective wave. Impulse waves move in the direction of the larger degree wave. So impulse waves are in green. So if you take this larger degree wave right here, made up of 5 different smaller waves, the larger degree wave, impulse waves are in green because they follow the trend. Corrective waves go down. The corrective waves can also go up, as you see, because it goes against the larger degree wave, the trend of going down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are part of wave 1, and A, B, and C are part of wave 2. 2, 4, and B are corrective waves, and then 1, 3, 5, A, and C are impulse waves. So as you can see, this trend here, it's got 5, 3, for a total of 8, all Fibonacci numbers. But interestingly, you can see that the Elliott wave, oh, it's a fractal, but the Elliott wave is also the golden ratio. On average, the correction waves retrace 61.8% of the initial move up. So you've got this initial degree wave here, but then coming back down, you're retracing 61.8% of the movement that you made. There's also something called Fibonacci Retracement that's used in economics. And retracement is a move in price that retraces a position, as you can see here. Like this corrective wave is a retracement. Usually, a stock will retrace at one of 3 common Fibonacci levels: 38.2, 50%, which is kind of just stuck in there arbitrarily, and 61.8%. And if you remember when we looked back at those other golden ratios, you can see 38.2 and 61.8. You can see 23.6, and these are all created by dividing a number by 2, 3, 4, 5 terms to the right or to the left. So this is the US dollar Japanese yen currency pair from 2009. The other, as you can see, you've got this downward trend that turns around about 76.4, and then it turns around, it goes up, but then it falls back down, and then turns around at 61.8, and then it turns around at 23.6. So these are all numbers that are in the golden ratio. You can see this is Pfizer from 2009. There's a surge here going upwards, and then this corrective wave, and then it goes down here a little bit, but then it tries to break out again, fails, goes down to 61.8, where it shoots back up. So these like turnaround points often happen at golden ratio numbers. So you've got JP Morgan from 2010, as you can see, at 61.8, turning back around. All these lines here represent the golden ratios I talked about earlier. So keep in mind that these retracement levels, they're not hard, fast reversal points. Instead, they serve as like alert zones for potential reversal. So it's like around these points here, stock traders will think, okay, so maybe I should probably use some more technical aspects to identify and predict what's going to happen next. So they give stock traders a good idea of what's going to happen. So you also see the golden ratio in nature, in plant leaves, for example. If you want to maximize your sunlight exposure and you want to grow, you want to be a healthy plant, how do you want to grow your leaves? So if you grow your leaves like this, in series of 5, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's 72 degrees away from each other. And eventually you'll get to the point where your leaves will start overlapping again. And that's bad because you're not going to capture the maximum amount of sunlight. Same thing if you grow in eight leaves. You're going to start overlapping again once you hit the 9th leaf. So instead, if you grow your leaves 1.618 degrees away from each other, you'll have this pattern here in which you'll never overlap completely and all leaves will gain sunlight exposure. So if you look at other things in nature, you've got pine cones. Pine cones, the plates on pine cones spiral out in Fibonacci numbers. You've got 13 plates here. You've got 8 plates spiraling that way. You've got this succulent, which has 5 spirals. This sunflower, which has a lot of spirals that I can't count. This dandelion here. Pine cones, interestingly, if you count spirals horizontally, vertically, you can get different numbers from the Fibonacci sequence, whether it's 8, 5, 8, 13, 21. I think 21 is the highest you can go for a pineapple. This here, I don't know what this is, but it's a golden ratio, and it's a fractal. This daisy has 21 petals. Daisies always have petals that reflect the Fibonacci sequence, whether it be 21, 34, I think some daisies even have like 89 petals, kind of crazy. And so, essentially, the golden ratio, again, what might seem like some crazy math number is actually just this perfect proportion that really draws everything together. It's a perfect visual tension between symmetry, this square, and asymmetry, and it serves as the foundation for a lot of laws that we see in nature, in the stock market, in art, architecture, design. And it's a hallmark of mathematical triumph, but it's also this anchor that ties the world together in a perfect way. Thank you.